hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. Help me fight the algorithm. Go ahead and hit like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell icon for new notifications. Thank you. That's Critical Drinker. Using the word woke plenty of times. But, hold on. Let me, I also want to cover the Oscar stuff, and he did an Oscar video. So let's go ahead and break down some more Critical Drinker before we move on. Because 2024 has Hollywood finally been humbled. And I do think it's interesting because lots of chuds seem to go off on the John Cena bit where he was naked, which was, by the way, a joke. He presented the Oscar for Best Costumes.
There, you look beautiful.
And the Oscar goes to? Poor Things. Hollywood.
That's the joke. He couldn't get a costume. And a lot of them seem to be like, oh my god, they're like, I don't know, like showing men as vulnerable or something, and it's like it's literally just a silly joke, and you guys are so offended by it. But anyways, let's see what his take is.
The Oscars, Hollywood's annual dick-sucking contest where overpaid, overhyped, and overconfident actors and directors fly in.
Okay, first off, with this beginning, he's not wrong. He's genuinely not wrong with this at the beginning. It is... I pretty much had to study the Oscars for a couple years for the newspaper, and yeah, it did come off very dick-sucky. Circle jerky. Very much so. And I'm not saying, like, the people who got awards didn't deserve them. We got some incredibly talented artists who get Oscars. But, yeah, it's very circle jerky. Absolutely.
In on their private jets and take to the stage in $10,000 dresses to pat themselves on the back and lecture the unwashed masses about the evils of capitalism, pollution, and the dreaded Orange Man.
Yes. Artists typically are going to be on the left side of the political spectrum because that's where a lot of creativity comes from. Sorry to break it to you, Critical Drinker. I know your trailer was like the most creative trailer I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't cliche at all. But yeah, most creative people are lefties. And also, let's face it, we had 4 years of Donald Trump. It was a fucking wreck. Joe Biden doesn't thrill me. I don't want 4 more years of Joe Biden, but I want 4 more years of Donald Trump, even fucking less. So, if they're going to use their platform to say fuck Trump, frankly, good on them. Good on them.
Oh man! Oh god! Oh man!
It's become a complete joke in recent years that the Academy Awards are a kind of crumbling monument to the hubris of Hollywood, a gaudy, irrelevant, and kind of disgusting spectacle of excess and arrogance at a time when the average...
I do find it interesting, you step out the alpha picture of Amy Schumer, but these chuds can't handle Amy Schumer, ignoring the fact that most people aren't really thrilled with Amy Schumer to begin with, but okay.
American is having to decide between food or heating each month, and the only thing that managed to stir...
Okay. The issues with our economy are issues, absolutely. But trying to like, yes, and like a lot of the people in Hollywood live quite a bit better than a lot of your average person, true. But again, you're comparing millionaires to, your average person, and there's a difference. But there's also a difference between millionaires and billionaires. So millionaires can change the lives of individual people. Billionaires can change the world. The problem is, you're far more likely to find millionaires changing the lives of individual people than billionaires changing the world. In fact, you can actually look and find tons of examples of a lot of these actors probably at this Oscar ceremony who do little things that, get people houses, do charity fundraisers, do stuff like that. You can probably find tons of examples, way more than you can find of billionaires actually using their resources to save the world. So it just comes off as weird and incredibly dishonest that you're whining about millionaires when the real issue with the world is billionaires buying laws to fuck over the middlemen, essentially. The middlemen and below. So, really interesting.
Or even a vague flutter of interest was watching Will Smith lose his mind and make an absolute clown out of himself a couple of years ago.
True. I will give him that. That was wild. Will Smith, not cool, man. Not cool at all.
Hope she appreciated you ruining one of the biggest nights of your career for her, bro.
So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. The Oscars might be a spent force in terms of the white.
Do we need to dive into the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith stuff? Because I frankly don't give a flying fuck. I don't. They can live their lives however they fucking want. I do think it gets annoying how often they're out there. And apparently Jada Smith has like a podcast where she just like lets all this shit air. And frankly, I don't listen to it because I don't fucking care. And you'll be shocked to learn it's pretty easy to ignore if you don't fucking listen to it. Just saying.
Wider public perception, but it is still a useful barometer for the current state of the industry. Because make no mistake, the movies that get nominated and eventually bag the trophy are carefully chosen to reflect what Hollywood values at that particular time. The speech.
So is he gonna argue that the movies that win awards aren't actually good and just are woke or something? That really sounds like his argument right now. So listen, rarely does the best movie of the year win Best Picture, but also it's incredibly rare when the best movie of the movie that wins Best Movie of the Year is bad, like remotely close to bad. It's usually quite good.
And the monologues and the little comedy bits that they decide to drop in give away little hints about how the industry views itself. And let's be honest, it hasn't exactly been a bumper year for Hollywood, which is still trying to recover from a disastrous period of strikes and high-profile flops.
And pandemic. You guys always ignore the fucking pandemic. It's still recovering from the pandemic. You do realize part of a side effect is, to qualify for Oscars, you have to be in the theater for a certain amount of time. But it's becoming less and less valuable to be in the theater because so much is just going to streaming so quickly. And you put a movie in a theater and it will disappear very shortly because it's coming to streaming, and nobody's going to go to a theater and watch it because it's coming to streaming.
Explosion of the lucrative superhero genre, a growing backlash against the message, an increasing public.
Yeah, just whenever he says the message, he's just saying woke. I just want to make that clear. And it's a way. It's what's the term? It is a thought canceling cliche. You don't have to think about what this term means. Oh, it's bad because the message. It doesn't mean anything. It's abused.
Public awareness of the corruption and generally shitty behaviour inside the industry. Not to mention the prospect of a divisive election year and the dreaded Orange Man returning to the White House.
Yeah. Dude, Trump handled COVID so monstrously bad. It was insane how terrible he handled COVID. I do not want to experience that again. And if you're okay with that says a lot more about you than anything else.
Were they going to come out swinging, or were they...
Yeah, no, I think Chuck Wood here. Chuck Wood III. Best movie of the year is a very subjective idea, Bob. One person will have a very different opinion from another on what the best movie of the year is. This is true. This is art is subjective. When you go in and watch a piece of art, you're taking a lot of your personal biases and life experiences with you. So, yeah. A lot of it is pretty fucking subjective.
Are they going to cower in a corner and retreat to their happy place while the rest of the world has its brutal way with them? Well, there was definitely some weird moments that left me scratching my head last night, like having John Cena walk out on stage butt naked to present an awards. Jesus.
To present an award. What award did he present, Will Jordan? What award was it? You're cutting out a key piece of fucking context, bro. It was the fucking costume award, bro. That was the fucking joke. He gave out the award for best costumes in a movie. And he didn't have a costume. It's a silly fucking joke, but it's literally a joke. And I think it's interesting that you're like, he's just giving out a random award butt naked for some reason. It's kind of obvious when you know the joke.
It's like some weird hazing ritual from an Ivy League university, except this is one fraternity that no sane person would...
Okay, yeah, Harvey Weinstein, who is in prison, where he should be, because he's a monster, and Jeffrey Epstein, who's dead, because he should be, he's a monster. And I'm not going to get into the details of how he mysteriously committed suicide, because it's very sus. It is very sus. But the fact is, these are two people who are monsters who... aren't involved with the Academy Awards, at least not anymore. I mean, maybe Harvey Weinstein was at a time. He was a big wig in Hollywood, which is why when the shit came out about him, he got kicked out, and frankly, he's in prison now where he belongs. Yeah.
Want to join. Also, I think I speak for every straight man on the planet when I say that Sydney Sweeney...
Yeah, I didn't think about that, Dean, how, his costume is kind of his muscles. You're not wrong. Yeah, that is kind of at least part of his persona.
He absolutely should have done that bit instead. Then there was...
So, like, he will admire Sydney Sweeney's boobs and then complain that John Cena's naked. It seems like an interesting double standard, bro.
Was the elderly and clearly confused Al Pacino who stumbled through his Best Picture speech like he literally just got woken up and shoved out onto the stage with no prep time. Honestly...
He probably didn't prep for it. He probably didn't care that much. He's probably done it before. And frankly, I haven't seen it, but Al Pacino could probably sell it. Because he's fucking Al Pacino. He's a goddamn legend.
What happened to guys like him and De Niro? They used to be the most...
De Niro is pretty boldly anti-Trump, and good on him. Good on him. I mean, I'm noticing lots of artists are... Now it's Trump-Biden again, lots of artists are being much more vocal about being anti-Trump than they were in 2016 and even 2020 because they just don't want to fucking deal with it again. I think Steve Martin almost does a daily post on Twitter talking about how do not vote for Trump, do not vote for Trump, do not vote for Trump. I think it's interesting how everybody wants to put on rose-tinted glasses for the Trump presidency, but it was literally every day was some sort of fucking disaster at the White House. He did something dumb or selfish. He fucked around with a world leader. It was insane. And as much as I am not thrilled with Biden, at least it's not fucking that. At least it's not, gee whiz, I wonder if this, just completely sycophantic, self-involved narcissist will blow up the entire fucking world today. I would rather not have that.
Most awesome and respected actors in the business. Now they're just sad and embarrassing old men who should have retired years ago. On the plus...
Well, I mean, that's up to them. I actually haven't seen Pacino in a movie in a little bit. Is he still acting? He might be mostly retired. And as for De Niro, he was just in Killers of the Flower Moon, where he fucking did a fantastic job, so I don't know why he would retire. He can retire whenever he wants. He's still got it.
Side, Michael Keaton had a nice little moment with Danny DeVito. Still got it, bro. And since pretty much the entire world has jumped on...
Oh, so you got that joke, but you missed the John Cena joke. Okay. Great.
The fuck Madam Web bandwagon, they even found a little time to join in.
Without sound, we wouldn't have been able to hear such classic lines as, "You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll have what she's having." And he was in the Amazon with my mother when she was researching spiders just before she died.
Because when even the...
Okay, that was pretty funny. And, dude, like, nobody likes Madam Web. Nobody likes it. It's not a win for the anti-woke. It's a bad movie.
stars of the film are taking the piss out of it, I think you can assume it's safe for everyone else to do so too. Also, there was a decent little musical number from Ryan Gosling, which I think was Hollywood's way of finally accepting the fact that Ken was the real star of Barbie, despite...
The way you guys suck up to Ken and Barbie is weird. Frankly, I was kind of shocked he was nominated, frankly. I thought he did a great job as Ken in Barbie. I thought he did great. But I don't know what in that performance got him the nomination, especially when you look at the other supporting actors. It's like you get Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, you get Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, and then you got Ryan Gosling in Barbie. And it's like, Ryan Gosling was great, but, like, he doesn't compare to those other two remotely. Those other two fucking were insanely good. And frankly, I haven't seen the other two performances listed, but, like, of those three that I have seen, Robert Downey Jr. I thought was the best. And I thought he, maybe if I see the other two, I'll change my mind. But as of right now, I'm like, that of the ones nominated, he definitely deserved the award. But number two, in a close second, would have been Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon. And then Ryan Gosling, like, as much as I thought he did a good job, I didn't think it was nomination worthy. And I thought it was bizarre that Greta Gerwig, if you're going to nominate Barbie for anything as Best Director, and Greta Gerwig doesn't get a nomination, so bizarre.
The movie's attempts to put him down in every possible way. Anyway, enough about that.
Attempts to put him down in every possible way. Ryan Gosling's Ken is the antagonist in a lot of the movie. Just saying.
Shite. Let's talk about the winners and losers here. The three.
I do find interesting how you keep on cutting to Sydney Sweeney's tits, which had nothing to do with the Academy Awards at all. That was Saturday Night Live.
Big hitters this year were Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and for some fucking reason, Barbie.
Son of a bitch!
Well, I was kind of surprised at the amount of attention Barbie got, but it was a good movie. I'm not, yeah. Like I said, like, my biggest issue was I thought Greta Gerwig should have been nominated. But, again, it's pretty fucking good.
Now, in any sane world, a gaudy and narratively confused mess like Barbie would have been laughed out of the room as a gimmicky entry to court mainstream appeal, but this is Hollywood we're talking about here.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, they have been doing that more.
For all I knew, it could just as easily sweep the awards and come out as the true champion of the night.
Oppenheimer was predicted to be the big winner of the night, and it was the big winner of the night. No twist.
Yeah. Killers was probably a more serious contender, with a heavyweight cast, a veteran director in the sunset of his career, a ponderously pretentious runtime, and a central theme that aligns perfectly with modern Hollywood sensibilities. The only thing it lacked was mainstream appeal, because fuck me, not many people are going to sit through 3.5 hours of Leonardo DiCaprio with lockjaw. Really?
With lockjaw? I don't know where you're getting he has lockjaw, but, I'll just go ahead and say Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon. Fantastic movie, worth checking out. I know it's a long one, but like, I felt the runtime of Killers of the Flower Moon less than I felt the runtime of Avengers Endgame. Just to give you an idea. It is a really well done movie.
Though the most logical and safe choice was always going to be Oppenheimer. It was one of the biggest movies of the year. It had a stacked cast delivering great performances, a director making a welcome return to form, and a plot that was fairly light on partisan political lectures. And well...
Partisan political lectures. Partisan political lectures. The main hero of the movie, he's not a socialist, but he is, not socialist, communist. He's not a communist, but he has very close friends in the Communist Party. He is obviously a leftist, at the very least. And the main antagonist is established to be a right-wing figure. Very clearly established as a right-wing figure. It's also clearly established throughout the visuals that when we see stuff from the point of view of the antagonist, the Robert Downey Jr. character, everything's black and white. When we see stuff from Oppenheimer's perspective, the protagonist, everything's in color. These aren't particularly subtle, but I guess they are if you're a dipshit and you're trying to sell a narrative.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Oppenheimer ended up bagging 7 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actor. And 3 more that no one cares about, like Best Cinematography, Best Editing, and Best Score. Making
Okay, so I know those are actually underappreciated ones, but like he said nobody cares about. I care about them because I care about filmmaking. Yes, those are very important and vital parts to making a good movie, and good on them.
it by far the biggest success story of the night. And when I say it was a safe and predictable choice, I don't necessarily mean that as a criticism of the film. Oppenheimer was a good movie and easily one of the best of the year, but if this had been released a few years ago when Hollywood was still high on the smell of its own farts, I suspect they would have gone for something more obscure, more artsy, more diverse, and more overtly political. There was some other welcome good news too, like Godzilla Minus One winning Best Visual Effects, which is fucking hilarious when you consider that it was made for a fraction of the cost of major Hollywood productions. Seriously.
Yeah, Godzilla Minus One was a really, really good movie. And it was made for a fraction of the visual effects. Now, when you watch it, you can tell where they saved money. You can very clearly tell where they saved money. That being said, they do it effectively, and it does look good where it needs to.
If that doesn't encourage studios to start trimming budgets and prioritising good storytelling and characterisation over shallow visual spectacle, then I don't know what will. The only real disappointment for me is that it wasn't nominated for more categories. Like, how could it not get a
Agreed. That feels weird. I feel weird saying that. Yes, agreed. I was shocked Godzilla Minus One only got nominated for visuals. It's actually a really fucking good movie. I highly recommend checking it out. Yes.
Nomination for Best International Feature. Whatever. Ultimately though, it all felt like a very safe, very cautious kind of Oscars this year. A weirdly subdued, muted event from an industry that's been deeply shaken and humbled by financial failure and internal division, and maybe even a little frightened.
Still recovering from COVID, still dealing with strikes, still recovering from a lot of different factors. Yeah, Hollywood's been shaken up the past couple years. And fun fact, the shakeup has nothing to do with the message or wokeness. Nothing to do with it.
Frightened about its own future. There was none of the bombastic chest thumping of previous years, none of the strident political pandering that used to go along with every single acceptance speech and award presentation, none of the flamboyant.
It would rarely be everyone. Usually there's like a big like political speech from I want to say celebrity for accepting an award, maybe like a noteworthy one like once every other year. It's not like an every year or every speech thing. I think that's a weird way to represent it. It's actually not that often.
And excesses that turned regular people away in droves. Even Jimmy Kimmel's monologues were dry, tame, and predictable, like he was terrified of offending anyone. Like, you know if you've really fucked.
I haven't actually seen the Oscars, so I don't know. I think that's interesting. I didn't see the Oscars, but I knew what the John Cena joke was about, and apparently these chuds can't figure it out.
Something up at work and pissed off your boss, and you know he's looking for an excuse to fire you, so really you just want to keep your head down and avoid any kind of attention for a while? Well, that's what this entire evening felt like. And you know what? I'm fine with all of that, because quite simply, Hollywood deserve to be humbled. They deserve to be brought down a peg or two and made to realise that audiences just aren't buying what they've been selling recently.
I'm trying to figure out how the Oscars have been humbled by Hollywood? Well, so Hollywood got humbled because of COVID and the strikes, and the Oscars were toned down because of it? I'm really kind of confused. Like, what? They just did kind of like, honestly, like, every Oscars is planned to be kind of a normal show, and you will sometimes end up with events that happen that are pretty much unscripted, and that just didn't happen this year, and it doesn't happen every years. So what?
no matter how hard they try to shove it down our throats or guilt trip us into watching it. And maybe this really is the first outward sign that things are changing in the industry, that they've finally seen the way the winds are blowing and set themselves a new course. Maybe not because they want to change, but because they've been forced to in the face of...
I mean, I think you're kind of right, Shane. This isn't an overview of the Oscars, it's some asshole's soapbox rants disguised as a shitty video essay. Yeah, it really comes off as that, because it's like, are you even talking about the Oscars at this point? The Oscar ceremony went off fine. It went as planned, which doesn't always happen. And you're like, oh, they've been humbled. It's like, no, it just went as planned, which doesn't always happen. Usually you do get like a speech or a Will Smith slap. It's not uncommon that shit happens. But it's not all the time either. And that's not Hollywood being humbled. It's just them having a show that goes as planned. Yay. That would actually be a victory for them. And it's not like, oh, they got humbled because of woke stuff. Because as I've already pointed out, Oppenheimer, the big winner, completely not an anti-woke movie. Not remotely at all. A movie with very clear and unambiguous political messaging that you guys want to ignore because it was also very successful and you guys like to act like Christopher Nolan's some anti-woke right-wing hero when he's pretty clearly not.
Absolute collapse. But fuck it, a win's a win at the end of the day, and with a little luck, this might just be the first of many. Either way, the drinker shall be watching them very carefully over the next couple of years to see that they make good on their promises. Anyway...
What promises? The Oscars goes off without a hitch, and that means, movies won't have the message anymore? What? I am so, like... God damn it, drinker. You suck.
That's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, Shane, more I'm digesting it. Yeah, you fucking nailed it. It's just some shitty, like, essay trying to pose as, like, a victory lap for the chuds, even though, it's literally just an Oscars show that went off well. That went off without a plan. That's it. That's it! It's not a victory lap for the chuds. It's a fucking Oscar ceremony. Jesus.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.